Did you know? There's a simple art that can turn sadness into strength, loss into lessons, and make your life feel complete again. It's not money. It's not fame. It's gratitude. Every day, millions wake up forgetting the most precious gift. They still have one more day to live, to love, to feel, and to be grateful. And that's what separates a truly happy person from someone who's just surviving. Gratitude is often spoken of as a virtue, but few realize it is also an art. The art of seeing abundance where others see lack, of recognizing beauty in the ordinary, and of transforming daily life into something sacred. In a world that constantly pushes us to want more, to chase the next success or possession, gratitude becomes a quiet rebellion, a return to presence. It reminds us that happiness is not found in acquiring, but in appreciating. When we begin to thank life for what we already have, even the simplest moments shimmer with meaning. Think of the morning light spilling through your window, the aroma of fresh coffee, the voice of someone who cares about you. These are not grand miracles, but small blessings that make up the fabric of a beautiful life. Yet we often overlook them, blinded by the noise of wanting and comparison. Gratitude invites us to pause and notice, to truly see. It whispers that joy does not hide in distant dreams, but resides quietly in this breath, this heartbeat, this ordinary day. Psychologists have found that when people practice gratitude regularly, their brains literally begin to change. Patterns of stress and negativity fade, replaced by neural pathways of contentment and optimism. Gratitude doesn't deny pain or difficulty. Rather, it balances them. It gives us the strength to acknowledge what hurts without being consumed by it. Like a candle glowing in the dark, a grateful heart doesn't erase the shadows. It simply shines brighter. To live with gratitude is to engage life fully. It means savoring experiences instead of rushing through them. It means saying thank you not just with words, but with awareness. Thank you for this meal, this conversation, this chance to begin again. The more we express gratitude, the more life seems to give us reasons to be grateful. It becomes a cycle of light, feeding itself endlessly. But this art requires practice. It's easy to forget gratitude when things go wrong, when disappointment clouds our hearts. That is precisely when it's most powerful. Gratitude in times of joy is celebration. Gratitude in times of struggle is transformation. When we can still say, thank you, even while facing uncertainty, we reclaim our inner peace from circumstances that seek to shake it. We realize that happiness is not something the world grants us. It's something we choose to nurture within ourselves. In the end, gratitude is not just about saying thank you to others, but about awakening to the miracle of being alive. Every breath is a gift, every moment an opportunity to grow, love, and learn. The more we practice this awareness, the less we need to chase happiness, because it begins to live naturally in us. We stop searching for a better life and start recognizing that we are already standing in the middle of one. So the art of gratitude is not about perfection. It's about perception. It asks us to open our eyes and hearts to what is already here. When we do, the world softens, our worries lighten, and we begin to walk through life with quiet wonder, finally understanding that happiness was never somewhere else. It was here all along, waiting for us to notice. True gratitude shines most brightly not in moments of comfort, but in the quiet courage of those who give thanks in the midst of pain. It is easy to feel grateful when life flows smoothly, when every plan unfolds as we hoped. But when the storms come, when disappointment breaks our spirit or loss empties our world, gratitude becomes something deeper. It becomes a choice, a deliberate act of faith that whispers, even now, there is meaning here. Adversity often strips away illusions. It removes what is temporary so that we may see what truly endures. In those dark nights of the soul, when everything seems uncertain, gratitude becomes a light that keeps us from losing ourselves completely. It doesn't ask us to deny our suffering or pretend to be happy. Rather, it invites us to look within the pain and find the lesson hidden there. The quiet reminder that every hardship carries a seed of growth. Imagine someone who has lost everything they thought defined them. A job, a relationship, a dream. The first instinct is despair. Yet slowly, Through tears, they begin to see small mercies. The friend who listens, the strength they didn't know they had, the sunrise that still returns each morning. Gratitude transforms suffering into a teacher. It turns what feels meaningless into a moment of awakening. Every scar becomes a reminder not only of what was endured, but also of the wisdom gained. When we practice gratitude in adversity, we shift from asking, "Why is this happening to me?" to "What is this teaching me?" That shift changes everything. The situation may remain the same, but our spirit grows larger than the problem. We stop being the victim of circumstances and become the author of our response. This inner freedom, the ability to find value, even in hardships, is what gives life its unshakable depth. History and personal stories are full of people who discovered profound peace in suffering simply because they chose gratitude. Prisoners who found meaning in small acts of kindness. Patients who turned their pain into compassion for others. Parents who lost but continued to love fiercely. All of them remind us that gratitude is not a luxury for the fortunate. It is a power accessible to every human heart, especially when life feels unfair. Of course, this doesn't come easily. Gratitude during hardship requires practice, patience, and humility. It often begins small, a single breath of thanks for surviving another day, for still having the strength to hope. But those small acknowledgments build resilience. Over time, they create an inner calm that no chaos can fully destroy. Gratitude becomes the thread that stitches our brokenness into something beautiful. When we learn to give thanks in adversity, we stop fearing pain as the enemy. We start to see it as part of our evolution, a rough sculptor shaping us into wiser, softer, more compassionate beings. Pain ceases to be a curse and becomes a teacher. Gratitude is what turns that transformation into grace. So when life tests your strength, pause for a moment. Breathe. Whisper a quiet thank you. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are still here, still learning, still capable of finding light in the dark. In that single act of gratitude, you are not broken. You are becoming. There is a gentle magic in gratitude, one that science and spirituality both agree upon. When we live in a state of thankfulness, our bodies, minds, and hearts begin to heal in ways we can't always explain. Gratitude, in its purest form, doesn't just change how we think. It changes how we feel. It reawakens the calm that stress once buried, softens the tension in our chest, and reminds us that peace is something we can cultivate within, even when the world outside is loud and chaotic. Modern psychology confirms what ancient wisdom long understood. Gratitude has the power to transform our inner world. When people consistently practice it, by keeping a gratitude journal, reflecting on their blessings, or expressing appreciation to others, their mental and emotional well-being improves significantly. They sleep better, feel less anxious, and experience greater satisfaction in their relationships. Gratitude rewires the brain. It strengthens the neural pathways responsible for joy and compassion while weakening those tied to negativity and fear. In a very real sense, it retrains the mind to see life through the lens of abundance rather than scarcity. But beyond science lies the quiet, intimate truth of what gratitude feels like. It is the moment you pause in the middle of a difficult day, take a deep breath, and realize you are still standing, still capable of love, still surrounded by beauty in simple forms. It is the warmth that fills your heart when you think of someone who once showed you kindness, or the sense of calm when you recognize that despite everything, life still offers moments of grace. These moments heal not because they erase pain, but because they reconnect us to what is timeless and good. Gratitude acts as an anchor for the soul. When chaos pulls us in every direction, it reminds us of what truly matters. It softens anger, dissolves envy, and quiets comparison. It brings us back to the present, the only place where peace truly exists. A grateful heart no longer chases constant excitement or perfection. It rests in appreciation. That restfulness is a form of healing in itself. It tells the nervous system you are safe. You have enough. You are enough. Sometimes healing begins not with doing, but with noticing. When we notice the things that are still working, the people who still care, the beauty that still exists, something inside us realigns. Gratitude allows us to hold both joy and sorrow in the same hand without being torn apart by either. It's the practice of saying, yes, life can be painful, but look, there is still goodness here. And perhaps that's the deepest healing of all, the way gratitude restores our faith in life. It helps us trust again, in others, in the world, in ourselves. It teaches us that even after loss, love continues. Even after failure, growth follows. Gratitude reminds us that life, though fragile, is still profoundly generous. So tonight, before you sleep, whisper a quiet thank you for the air filling your lungs, for the heart still beating in your chest, for the chance to begin again tomorrow. Healing does not always come from medicine or miracles. Sometimes it comes from something simpler, a single, sincere moment of gratitude. To live a life of gratitude is to understand that appreciation must extend both outward and inward, toward others and toward ourselves. Most of us are taught to thank people around us, our parents, our friends, the stranger who lends a hand. Yet we often forget to thank the one person who has been with us through every victory and failure, every rise and fall, ourselves. Gratitude for others enriches relationships, but gratitude for oneself deepens the soul. It is an act of self-respect, of honoring the journey that has shaped who we are. Think of how often we criticize ourselves, measuring our worth by what we haven't done or by the standards of others. We replay mistakes in our minds, whispering that we should have been stronger, smarter, better. In doing so, we forget that we have already endured much and grown quietly in ways unseen. To thank yourself is to pause and acknowledge that effort. To say, I may not be perfect, but I am trying, and that is enough. Gratitude for oneself doesn't mean arrogance or self-indulgence. It is a form of humility. It recognizes that despite fear and doubt, you have continued to show up for life. Every morning you've risen when it would have been easier to quit. Every act of kindness you've given, even when you were tired. Those moments matter. They reveal a heart that refuses to give up. By acknowledging that strength, we cultivate compassion not only for ourselves, but for everyone struggling to find their way. When we learn to appreciate ourselves, we naturally become more understanding of others. A person who is gentle with their own flaws will rarely judge harshly. Gratitude creates empathy because it teaches us to see the shared humanity in everyone. Each of us carries hidden battles. Each of us is doing the best we can with the light we have. Gratitude reminds us to look at others not through the lens of expectation, but through the softness of understanding. In relationships, gratitude works like sunlight. It nurtures what is good and helps it grow. Saying thank you, sincerely, often, and without condition, builds trust and connection. It shifts attention from what's lacking to what's already beautiful between two people. Partners who express appreciation regularly feel closer and more resilient. Friendships flourish under the warmth of acknowledgement. Even a small thank you can heal more than we realize. It tells someone, I see you. You matter. Yet gratitude is incomplete if it stops there. To live fully, we must also thank the person in the mirror. We must recognize the small victories no one else notices. The courage to start over, the patience to wait, the strength to forgive. This inward gratitude transforms our relationship with ourselves from one of constant striving to one of gentle acceptance. We begin to realize that self-worth is not earned through achievement, but awakened through appreciation. When we are grateful for ourselves, we no longer chase love or validation. We radiate it. That quiet self-acceptance draws genuine happiness toward us because we no longer live in resistance to who we are. Gratitude teaches us that we don't need to be someone else to deserve peace. We only need to be present, alive, and thankful for the journey that has carried us this far. So, tonight, after thanking the world, take a moment to whisper, thank you, me. It might feel strange at first, but over time, that simple act will become your greatest source of strength. A reminder that the most enduring relationship you will ever have is with yourself, and it too deserves love, grace, and gratitude. Living with gratitude is not merely a practice. It is a way of being, a rhythm that flows through every breath, every glance, every heartbeat. It transforms ordinary existence into something luminous, Because when we live gratefully, we are no longer blind to the miracles woven into each day. Gratitude is not a reaction to happiness. It is the foundation of it. The more we embody gratitude, the freer we become from the endless chase for more. We stop striving to find happiness, and instead, we begin to create it. To live with gratitude is to wake up each morning and recognize that life itself is a gift, not because it's perfect, but because it's ours to experience. The air we breathe, the faces we love, the lessons we learn, the moments that make us pause. All of them are reasons to whisper a quiet thank you. Gratitude transforms time into presence. It anchors us here, in the now, reminding us that the present moment is not something to get through, but something to be cherished. A grateful person moves differently through the world. They listen more deeply, smile more easily, and find beauty where others might see only routine. They understand that joy doesn't depend on wealth, status, or control, but on attention, on the ability to notice what's already good. Gratitude teaches us to see with new eyes. The mundane becomes meaningful. The simple becomes sacred. A cup of tea, a laugh shared with a friend, a quiet evening alone. All these moments, when seen through the lens of thankfulness, glow with quiet wonder. This is not to say that life will always be easy or kind. There will be loss, disappointment, and uncertainty. But a life built on gratitude doesn't crumble under those things. It bends, breathes, and continues. Gratitude allows us to coexist with sorrow without being consumed by it. It is the deep knowing that even when life breaks us open, there is still light seeping through the cracks, and that light is enough. In living gratefully, we also begin to live more freely. We no longer cling so tightly to control or fear the unknown, because gratitude reminds us that even uncertainty can carry gifts. It teaches us to trust the unfolding, to meet each moment as it comes, to find peace not in perfection, but in presence. Gratitude gives us the courage to let go of resentment, of regret, of the need to have everything figured out. It whispers, "You are already where you need to be." Over time, this way of living reshapes us from within. We start to measure life not by what we've gained, but by how deeply we've felt, how fully we've loved, and how sincerely we've appreciated. Gratitude becomes our compass, guiding us toward kindness, humility, and grace. It reminds us that happiness is not an endpoint, but a continuous unfolding of awareness. So walk gently through this world. Let gratitude be the quiet song beneath your every step. Notice the sunlight on your skin, the laughter that fills a room, the silence that teaches you to listen. Each of these moments is a small eternity, an invitation to remember that everything, absolutely everything, is a gift. When you begin to live with gratitude, you don't just experience happiness, you become it. When you learn to be grateful for what you have, life is no longer a race to get more. It becomes a journey to feel deeper. Happiness doesn't come from what you achieve, but from how you perceive the world around you. So today, take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for breathing, for loving, for living. And if you're hearing this right now, that's already a miracle. Remember, gratitude doesn't change the world. It changes the way you see it. And that is the secret to lasting happiness. If this video touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share to spread the power of gratitude. Because gratitude is where all good things begin.